Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I will show you a very powerful future dev tool which you can use in your next project to boost your React development. You can build your application UI on the fly by using a drag and drop feature and your code will be auto-generated. We will build a simple login form using Material UI and Mightymeld Prefabs. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so I have already bootstrapped my application using the npx create react app, and the name of my application is React Prefabs. So let me give you a walkthrough of the code that I have. So if I go to the source folder, then you will see that in the source folder we have this app.js where I have removed all the boilerplate code and I just have a div with an app. And then we have all the pretty standard files like index.js, index.cs. Apart from that, I also have a folder for images where I have a background image. And then you will also see that we have a prefabs folder. So I'm going to give you a walkthrough what this prefabs folder is in a minute. Then if we go to the package.json file, then we will see that in the package.json file, I have installed the dependencies for Material UI, as we are going to use the Material UI as a prefabs. So if I go to the prefabs folder, you will see that we have the miui.jsx. So you can just install the Material UI. So if we want to install the Material UI, you can just follow the documentation and you can just use the npm install and this particular command, which will just install the Material UI into your project. Then we also have the dev dependencies. So if I scroll down, then you will see that we have a dev dependency of Mightymeld runtime, customized CRA, and React app rewired. So I'm going to give you a walkthrough on the setup of the Mightymeld, but I have already covered how you set up the Mightymeld in your project into my previous video. So if you have missed that, you can just click on the card above and jump to it directly, or you can also find the link in the description of the video so that you can check it out later on. Now let's go and let me show you how you can just install the Mightymeld into your project. So you can just follow this doc guide. You will find the link in the description, and then you can also watch this video. And what we need to do is we just need to install the Mightymeld runtime. So you will use the npm install, then you will just install the Mightymeld runtime. After that, you just need to create a mightymeld.json file, and then you need to have a configuration options. Since we are using the create react app for bootstrapping our application, we are going to use the plugin setup for create react app, where we will also need to install the customized CRA and React app rewired. So these two, which is you will see here that we have already installed the runtime, customized CRA, and React app rewired. For the Mightymeld JSON, you will find that we have this configuration here, and then we have this config override, which we had the Babel plugin. So if we scroll down here, you will see that we need to create this config override.js, where you can just add your Babel plugin, and then you will just update your Mightymeld JSON file. Then if we want to have the Mightymeld configurations, here you will see that all the configurations of the Mightymeld.json file. So if I go to the JSON file, you will see the run, include, web server URL, which you will find all the details here. Or you can just also copy paste from my existing code and then just put it in your project and it should work fine. Then we have this prefabs. So if I go to the prefabs directory, then we have this prefabs directory, and you will see that how you can set up the prefabs. So you can also watch the video to add a prefabs into your project. So it's very pretty simple. You just need to have a prefab directory into your Mightymeld JSON file. So we have this prefab directory into our Mightymeld JSON file, and we have this source prefab. Now we have just created a folder, and inside the folder we have added the prefabs. So if I go here, and you will see that you need to add the prefabs file. So you can find the prefabs file into the GitHub repository. So here you will see that this is the GitHub repo for the prefabs developed by Mightymeld. Then you can just use any of the framework you want to build your CSS, like Tailwind. You can also use Redux, MUI, Chakra UI. For this project, we are going to use the MUI, as we have already installed the Material UI into our project. Now, if we go back here, we are going to have the server URL, and then we will just have the run script, which will be the npm run start Mightymeld. And if we go to our package.json file, Then here you will see that we have added an additional script, which is the start Mightymeld. So this is the Mightymeld setup we need to do. You can just follow the guide here and then you are good to go. You won't be having any issues to set up this into your project. Now we have already have this in our project. Now what I will do is, in order to run it, we need to use the npx Mightymeld, and this is going to start our Mightymeld studio. But before that, you need to do one more thing. You need to have the environment variables files. So you will go to the environment files, and then in the environment files you need to add the secrets. So you will be having the instance ID and secret, which you can get it from the Mightymeld portal. So this is the Mightymeld portal, where you can just use a sign up and then you can create your instance and then you can download your secrets. So we are going to have this npx Mightymeld studio, but before that, let's do an npm install so that we can install all our dependencies. So I'm going to have the npm install, and this is going to install all my dependencies that I have in my package.json file. Now let's give a try for the Mightymeld. So let me have the Mightymeld, and I'm going to hit enter, and here you will see that it is starting my application, and then it also gives the studio URL. So if I go here, then you will see that now it is loading, and this is how the application looks like. Here you will see that we only have the app, and then we have the different views for the tablet, and then we have the different view for the mobiles. All right, and here you will see that we have the active browsers for the desktop, tablet, and the mobile view. All right, here you will see all the source of our project, and then we have the prefabs. So these are all our prefabs for the MIUI, which we can just use it for drag and drop. So we are going to design a login page using the Mightymeld Studio, and I will show you that how you can design your React components using MIUI very easily. Just drag and drop, and you will have all the props and properties into the studio itself. So now let's go and let's do that. So what we can do is, first we will have a box. So I'm going to drag a box here, and now here you will see that we have a div, and inside the div we have an app, and then we have a box. So for that, what I will do is I'm going to just remove the app. We don't want anything here. And now this box is just a simple container. So if we go to the documentation and if we search for a box, then we should be able to see that we have this box in the material UI, which is just a container which we are going to use. All right, so now we have the box, and to this box what we are going to do is we are going to add some inline properties. So I'm going to have the add inline sx, and to the inline sx what I will do is I'm going to add the background image. So let me have the background image, and I'm going to keep it none for now. Then we are also going to have the height of this box. So I'm going to give the height as 100 vertical height. All right, after that we will also need to have a color. So let me give a color, and I'm going to give the color as #FFF. So now we have this box container, and inside the box container we will also need another box. So for that, what I will do is let's simply drag and drop. So I'm going to drop it, and we are going to have a different box here. All right, now this box is going to be the container for our login. So what I will do is let's add a prop. So I'm going to have a padding, and let's give a padding of 4, and then I will also give some sx properties. So I'm going to go here inline sx, then we are going to have the add, and I'm going to give the width to it. So let me have a width as 100%. All right, I'm going to give a background. So let me have a background, and I'm going to give the background as RGBA, and then let's have the values of RGBA. So I will have the 0, 0, 0, and then I'm going to have the 0.75. Now we have this box with the black color. Then what we will do is we will also have a max width. So let me have a max width, and I'm going to give the max width as 380 pixel. So let me have the 380 pixel. So we have this. Now the next thing what we need to do is, as our box is on this side, we want this box to be into the center. So if I go back here, then here we can add some more properties. We can use the display. So let me have the display as flex, and then I'm going to give the justify, so content, which will be in the center. All right, then let's give the align. So I'm going to have the align items, which will also be in the center. So now we have the box into the center. Now we also need to give a background image to it. So for this, we need to add the background image into our code first. So what we will do is I'm going to click a right click, and then I'm going to just go to the open in the editor, and this is going to take me exact to the same place where it is in my code. So here it is in my code, and let's add the background image. So what I will do is I'm going to have the import. I will have the movie bg, and this movie bg will be coming from the dot slash. I'm going to have the images slash movie background. Now we can just use it here. So I'm going to use the backticks. Then we are going to have the URL, and let's use the string literal. So I'm going to have the movie BG here. Now if we go back here, then now we see that we have the background here, and then we also have this. I will also need to give the background size. So if I go here, let me have the background size. So I'm going to select the background size from here. So we have the background size, or maybe I will change it to cover. So let's have the background as cover. We need to style our box so that we can have the sign in and the login information. All right. So now inside this, I can use the typography to have a text. So let me have a typography here. Now to this typography, what we can do is we can just change the text. So I'm going to change the text as sign up. And then what I will do is for this typography, I'm going to add the margin bottom. All right. And I'm going to give the margin bottom as 3. Now we will also need to add a variant. So I'm going to use the generative AI. So add variant as h2, and this is going to add a variant as h2. And now next thing, we need to add the font size. So I'm going to have the font size, and I will give the font size as 1.25 rem. All right, so we have added the font size. Now the next thing we will do is we are going to add another box where we are going to use the input boxes. So what I will do is I'm going to go and I will just drag a box here, and now I will just drag this on top, and we have a box here. Now in this box, what I will do is I need to have a prop. So I'm going to have the prop as component, and I'm going to give the value as form. Then we are going to use the sx property. So let me have the sx property. I'm going to go here and then add the inline style. All right, I'm going to add a property here, and then I'm going to add the color. So let me have the color. So we need a color as white, and then what we will do is now let's add an input base here. So you can go here and you can also check for the input base. So I'm going to go here and I will have the input base API, and this input base API is actually going to give us a input field, which we can just use it for the taking inputs from the user. So I'm going to go here and let's have the input base. So I will go and I will find for the input base, and I will just drag the input base here. Then we are going to have the input base, and to the input base, what I will do is I'm going to add a prop as required. Then I will add the placeholder. So let me have the placeholder, and I'm going to add the placeholder as email address. All right, so we are going to take email address from the user. Then I'm going to add a prop for the type, and the type would be email. So let me have the email. All right, then I'm going to give the full width. So let me have the full width. All right, I'm going to give the full width as true, and I'm going to use the required. So we use the required, but I forgot to give it the value. So I'm going to have the required as true. So we have this input box, and now to this input box, what we can do is we also have the email address, but you will see that there is a problem with the color. So what I will do is I'm going to use the SX and give some inline styles to this box so that we can have it a little bit nicer. So I'm going to use the add inline style, and to this inline style, what I will do is I'm going to use the background as white. So let's have a background white. Then what I will do is I'm going to use the padding. So let me have the padding, and the value of the padding will be 5 pixel from top and bottom, and then we are going to have the 10 pixel from left and right. After that, I'm going to give the font size. So let me have the font size. So I'm going to give the font size as 15 pixel. So let me have the font size as 15, and then we are just going to use the margin bottom so that we can have some extra space at the bottom, and I'm going to give the margin bottom as 2. All right, so now we see that we have this email address. Now we will also need a similar thing for our password. So what I will do is we are just going to use and make it a duplicate. So I'm going to have a duplicate, and this is going to have this one. So what I will do is I'm going to change the placeholder as password. So let me change this as password. I'm going to use the type as password. So we will have the password, and the rest everything will be the same. All right, so now next for the login form, we will also need a checkbox for remember me. So what I will do is for the checkbox, I'm going to use the form control label. So if we go to the material UI and if we check for the form control label, then this form control label is actually going to give us for the checkbox. So if I go here and we need a checkbox something like this. So we are going to use this form control label, and then there will be a checkbox inside it. So now what we will do is let's go here and let's add it in from the prefabs. But in the prefabs, you will see that we don't have any form control label. So one thing you can do is you can actually add any of the component into your list of the prefabs. So what I will do is let's go back to our editor. And inside the editor, if we go to our prefabs folder, then we will need the form control label. So I'm just going to import a form control label here. So this is going to coming from the material UI. So this you will see we have the material UI, and just in the bottom, what we will do is we are just going to copy this, and I'm going to add it here, and I'm going to just change this to form control label. So let me have the form control label, and I'm going to use a form control label here as well. So in this way, you can just add it into your prefabs of MIUI, and you will get the component into your studio. So what I will do is I'm just going to cancel this, and I'm going to rerun my Mightymeld studio. All right, so now we have this, and if we go and see, then in the bottom you should be able to see that we have this form control label here, and we can just use a drag and drop. But what I will do is I will just going to copy paste from here. So I will just going to copy this. All right, I will go here and I'm going to paste it here. All right, so below this input, I'm going to paste it here, and we need to import the form control label. So let's have the form control label, and I'm going to have the checkbox. I'm going to change the label. So this label would be the remember me. So I'm going to have the remember me. I will save it. Now, if we go back and if we see here, then we see that we have this checkbox and we have this remember me. So I'm going to click on the form control label component, and I will also give the SX so that I can have the color as white. So I'm going to use the inline SX. I will give the color white. So now this AI assist will just add the white color. And now what we will do is we have some problem here. You will see that if we uncheck this, so I'm going to go to the dry mode, and if we uncheck this, then this is in a black color. So we just need to change this. So what we can do is we can just do an inspect element and just find out the class name. So this is the input box, and we can just use the MUI checkbox root, and then we can just change the color of this SVG. So we are going to add a fill property, and this fill property will be white. So this is going to change the color to the white. So what I will do is I'm just going to add it into my code. So I will go to the app, and here I'm going to add the MUI checkbox root, and inside this we are going to have the MUI SVG icon root, and to this we are going to add a fill property, and this fill property will be white color. Now if we go back here, and then we see that we have this remember me, and for this remember me also I'm going to add a, so if I go and if I inspect this, then for remember me I need to give a font weight so that we have the same color, and the font weight would be 300. So let's give that as well. So what I will do is, so I'm going to copy this, and I will go here and I'm going to add it here, and I will just remove this. So we are going to have a class here, and then on this class I'm going to use the font weight, and let's have a font weight 300. All right, so the next thing we need is we need to have a button so that we can just click and submit the form. So if we go back to the edit mode, so I will go here and I will just drag the button. All right, so we have this button, and now to this button what we are going to do is we are going to add some CSS. So let's go to the button first, and I'm going to change the inner text. So this will be the sign in. So I'm going to have the sign in. So this is going to change to sign in, and now we will need to give some props. So I'm going to have the variant first. So let me have the variant as contained. All right, so we have the variant as contained. Then I'm going to give the full width. So let me have the full width as true. Now we will also need to give the SX property. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, add inline SX, and to the inline SX I will add the margin top. So let me add the margin top. So I'm going to have the margin top, and the value would be 2. So we have this button, and we will also have a type on this button. So let me have the type, and I'm going to name the type as submit. So let me have the submit. So we have this button as well, and now we will just need to add 2 links, which will be the forgot password, and if you don't have an account, then you can just do a sign up. and I see that I have given a sign up here. It should be sign in. So I will go here and I'm going to change this to sign in. Now let's have a new box. So I'm going to go here and then I'm going to add another box. So I will have a box here. All right, so we have the box, and now to this box what I will do is I'm going to have a typography inside this so that we can have a text. So let me have the typography. All right, so we have this typography, and on the typography what I will do is I'm going to add a link into it. So let me go to and add a link. All right, so we have the typography, we have the link, and inside the link we have the text. So let's change the text first. So this text will be the forgot password. So I'm going to have the forgot password, and then to the link what I will do is on the link I'm going to give a href as a prop. So I'm going to have the href. All right, I'm going to give the value of the href as hash, and the next thing we need to add an underline prop. So I will have the underline prop and the value would be hover. So let me add the hover. So I'm going to have the color as white. So it has added the color white. Now what we need to do is let's go to the typography and add some styling to it. So I'm going to give the font weight here. So let me have the font weight, and I'm going to give the font weight as 300, and then I'm going to give the margin top. So I will have the margin top. So I will have the margin top, and the margin top will be 2. Okay, so now we have the forgot, and we will need to have a very similar for the other one as well. So what I will do is I'm going to go here and I will have a duplicate, and to this I'm going to change this to as don't have an count. In that case we can just simply have a sign up. So let's have a sign up. So now you can see that we have built the login page, and now if you want to see, if we go to the drive mode, then we can see that we can type here I'm going to have a test, and then if I click on it, it will give me that you cannot submit because it's a mandatory field and it's not a valid. So I'm going to have a test@gmail.com, then I'm going to have some password, and then if I click on sign up, then you will see that nothing is going to happen because we are not handling any of the form stuff. So let's go and let's try to do that. So what I will do is I'm going to click on edit. I will go open in the editor, and inside the editor what I will do is the first thing I'm going to create a state variable for my email and the passwords. So let me have a constant. So I'm going to have a constant there. I'm going to have the email, and I will have the set email, which is going to be equals to the use state. All right, I'm going to keep it as an empty. Then I'm going to have a constant. I will have the password, then I'm going to have the set password, and this is also going to be equals to the use state. Now what we can do is we can go and add the value to it. So first input base is this for the email. So I'm going to go here, I will have the value, and I'm going to add the value as email. I will also add the on change, so that whenever a user type, we just have to update our set email. So this is going to be an arrow function where we are going to have an event, and then we are just going to have the set email where we are going to have the value as event.target.value. We are going to copy, and we're going to use a very similar for our password as well. So if I go here and if we add it here, then this should be changed to password, and we are going to have this as set password. All right, so now what we also need to submit the form. So if I go to the box, we see have a component as a form, and we can just add the on submit here. So let me have the on submit, and then we can have the handle submit. Now we just need to have this handle submit function. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to have a constant. I will have the handle submit, and this is going to take an event. So I will have the event, and then we are going to have this arrow function. I'm going to use the event.prevent default, so that when we click on the submit, the page doesn't refresh. So I'm going to have the event.prevent default. All right, and then I will simply have the console.log, and on the console.log I will just log the email. All right, this is going to have the dollar email, and we have the password. So let's have the password as I'm going to use the dollar, and we're going to have the password. And then once we log it, we just need to clear our form. So what I will do is I'm going to have the set email as empty, and then I'm going to have the set password as empty. So we have already set up. Now let's go and let's test it. So if I go back here, now you will also see that before we go, we can also see that we have this in the different UI. So this is a tablet view, this is a phone view, and we see that everything is responsive and we can see everything here. And this is our JSX structure, which we can see it, and we can also change any of the properties from here itself. So that's where this prefabs is very useful, and it helps us to build the UI components faster as compared to the traditional method. So now I will just go to my Visual Studio Code and I'm going to close this, and I'm simply going to use the npm start. So this is going to start my application on the localhost 3000. This is how our form looks like. So if I go here and if I hover it, then you will see that we have this forgot password, don't have an account. If we click on it, then we see that please fill the details because we have added a required flag. Now let's add the page @gmail.com, and I'm going to add a password here. If I go and if I inspect it, then if I go and into the console, then if I click on the sign in, then you will see that we have the email and then the password, and then we can just use the user information to log into the user. So that's all I have in this video, and that is what I wanted to show you, that how you can use prefabs and build your user interface faster with the Mightymeld Studio. So I hope you liked the video. A thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter for latest updates, and before you go, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. Thank you. Thanks for watching.